Hello and a very warm welcome to today's session brought to you by Team Testbook Super Coaching. I hope all of you are doing really well. देरी नहीं करते हुए फटाफट से let's just quickly get started with today's session. आज से particularly हम लोग proper emphasis से आपके कुछ important previous years questions को cover करेंगे. ना सिर्फ ये नेट के previous years questions हैं, फिर आपके PhD entrances के questions हैं, and with solutions हम लोग इनको अच्छी तरीके से देखेंगे. We'll be covering all of these properly. तो देरी नहीं करते हुए फटाफट से लेट्स जस्ट स्टार्ट विद योर प्रॉपर पीवाईक्यूज रिवीजन बूस्टर सीरीज. कल 12 बजे भी आपका मैराथन है जिसमें हम लोग एक पेपर को कवर करेंगे अच्छी तरीके से प्रॉपरली. तो ध्यान से आप मेक श्योर कीजिएगा दैट इफ यू आर एबल टू प्रॉब्ली रिव्यू दैट पेपर दैट विल ऑलवेज बी वेरी हेल्पफुल. तो देरी नहीं करते हुए फटाफट से स्टार्ट करते हैं. आज हम 15 प्रीवियस ईयर्स इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन पेपर्स को डिस्कस करेंगे. Good evening, Rashmi, Future Dreams, Ayushi, Sonali, Simartaran. Good evening, everybody. देरी नहीं करते हुए फटाफट से let's just quickly get started. Let's just very quickly get started over here. देखिए कुछ चीजें जो आपको ध्यान रखनी है कि whenever we are looking at previous years questions में एक प्रॉब्लम ये रहता है कि हमें इसे कवर करना चाहिए कि नहीं. The straightforward answer is 200% आपको previous years questions करने हैं. सेकंड, क्या प्रोसेस रहना चाहिए प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस को कवर करने का. आप जो भी क्वेश्चन जब भी सॉल्व करते हैं ना सिर्फ उस क्वेश्चन को देखिएगा, दैट इज नॉट द करेक्ट अप्रोच, बट इट्स आल्सो एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू कवर द फोर ऑप्शंस दैट यू आर एनकाउंटरिंग एंड गो बैक एंड रिव्यू दैट टॉपिक. तो अब जो हम लोग आपके प्रीवियस ईयर्स पे फोकस करेंगे, इंश्योर कीजिएगा कि आप अच्छी तरीके से ये सारी चीजों को कंपाइल कर रहे हैं. Good evening, Wilfran, Suraj, Ravi, Anushka, Arshi, Devashish. Good evening, everybody. Of course, आपका crash course for June 2024 batch. This is also going to be commencing as and when हम आगे बढ़ेंगे. I will be providing you with all the details. ये crash course जो है ये 15th onwards आपका properly start हो जाएगा. इस crash course के अंदर क्या-क्या cover होगा, इस crash course के अंदर क्या-क्या चीजें available है, ये सारी चीजें of course हम आने वाले टाइम में और अच्छी तरीके से भी डिस्कस करने वाले हैं. So we will let you know more about the score booster batch or the crash course as it's famously called. ठीक है, चलिए let's very quickly get started. अब कल आपका संडे मैराथन क्लास है. संडे मैराथन क्लास में इस पर्टिकुलर डेक के जो फर्स्ट 10 क्वेश्चंस हैं हम उनको तो करेंगे ही करेंगे. दे आर पैसेजेस रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस, तो वो हम लोग करेंगे. संडे आपका मैराथन रहेगा. मैराथन के लिए डेफिनेटली मेक श्योर कीजिएगा दैट यू ब्लॉक योर कैलेंडर्स एंड यू ज्वाइन एट 12 o'clock. ठीक है, मैराथन के लिए अच्छी तरीके से ज्वाइन कर लीजिएगा. गुड इवनिंग गायत्री, शिल्पा. सो दिस इज योर क्वेश्चन दैट यू आर एबल टू सी. ऑफ कोर्स लाइक आई सेड के संडे को हम लोग इसके जो फर्स्ट 10 क्वेश्चंस है उनको हम लोग कवर करेंगे. क्वेश्चन 1 to 10 को. ये 11th क्वेश्चन आपका स्टार्ट हो गया है. Who among the following was of the view that poetry was only an imitation of an imitation and therefore trivial? Poetry was an imitation of an imitation and therefore trivial. This is very simple a question. इससे ज्यादा simple आपका question नहीं होगा. जल्दी से बताइए. Aristotle is not saying that. Aristotle rather believes in the power of mimesis to be good, right? तो Aristotle नहीं है. काफी सारे लोग जो Aristotle कह रहे हैं, that's wrong. Anushika has got the right answer. Amit Verma has got the right answer. Rashmi Rawat has got the right answer. Absolutely right. Plato is the correct answer. Plato is absolutely the correct answer. Plato आपको theory of mimesis दे रहे हैं, right? The theory of mimesis is actually being given to you. Art being twice removed from reality. Again, आपको SPA का model याद रखना है. You have to remember about Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. You need to keep in mind. You need to remember over here a very important aspect that कैसे आपका मॉडलिज्म के ग्राउंड्स पे, क्योंकि पेलोपोनेसियन वॉर चल रहा था and Plato indirectly believed the power of the so-called, he said that the poet is divinely inspired and therefore he cannot be trusted. So वो emotional माने जाते थे and they would be able to sway them. ठीक है, तो no worries Ravi, no worries at all. So please remember that. Moving on to the 12th question. In life of Cowley, which two of the following criticisms were made by Samuel Johnson against a group of writers he termed as metaphysical poets? Against a group of writers he termed as metaphysical poets. यहाँ पर ध्यान से देखिएगा. What becomes the correct answer? What becomes the correct answer? Good evening, Zambars. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. यहाँ पर ध्यान से देख के बताइए आपका सही जवाब क्या है. What is the correct answer in your opinion? What is the correct answer in your opinion? जल्दी से देख के बताइएगा क्वेश्चन नंबर 12 को. No, not really, Ravi, not really, not really. दोबारा से देखिएगा, दोबारा से देखिएगा, so that you are able to understand it a little better. दोबारा से देखते हैं. Life of Cowley, which of the following criticisms were made, ठीक है, by Samuel Johnson against a group of writers he termed as metaphysical. They made an inappropriate combination of wit and imagination. तो यहाँ पर आपको ये चीज थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखना है, इनअप्रोप्रिएट वर्ड की वजह से ये प्रॉब्लमैटिक है. इंस्टेड ऑफ राइटिंग पोएट्री दे ओनली रोट वर्सेस. They neither copied nature nor life. They never tried to be singular in their thoughts. Now ये जो सारे के सारे pointers आप देख पा रहे हो, what are we able to see कि आपका, you know, instead of writing poetry they were writing in verses, they were not copying nature or life, because तभी तो they were yoking together two very polar opposite ideas. Right, they were not trying to copy, they were not trying to use mimesis at all, they were not lifelike, they were trying to jolt you, they were trying to be very different altogether. ये चीज आप देख पाते हो. तो Abraham Cowley, Cowley के ऊपर lives of the most eminent English poets, that is coming from 1779 to 81. Samuel Johnson is trying to tell you that there appeared a race of writers, maybe termed as metaphysical poets, and he was very critical. Only Grierson and T.S. Eliot in the 20th century were positive, after which everybody became positive about the metaphysical school of poets. Okay? And they said that, you know, they only wrote in verses, not poetry. They neither copied nature nor life. Their use of conceits was far removed from reality. So they were not copying nature. They were not copying nature. They were not copying life altogether. They had a very different style altogether. That was a problem that Dr. Samuel Johnson had when he was talking about Cowley, and he was referring to metaphysical poets. ये पोएट्री के अंदर मेटाफिजिकल पोएट्री, 17th सेंचुरी पोएट्री, चाहे वो आपकी कविलियर्स हो गए, स्पेंसेरियंस हो गए, मेटाफिजिकल्स हो गए, मिल्टन हो गए, या फिर आपके यू नो ड्राइडन हो गया, ये सारे के सारे आपके लिए काफी ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. ओके, हम लोगों ने याद है यूट्यूब पे भी कर रखा है, द थ्री इंपॉर्टेंट जॉन्स, सो टू से, जॉन डन, जॉन ड्राइडन एज वेल एज जॉन मिल्टन ऑफ द 17th century. The function of criticism at the present time, what is proposed by Matthew Arnold as the essence of criticism, as the essence of criticism, Matthew Arnold क्या चीज propose कर रहे हैं? What is he promoting? What is he trying to tell you as the essence of criticism and the function of criticism? What is the essence of criticism and the function of criticism? What is the essence that you're able to say? Absolutely right, disinterestedness. You have to be disinterested, impartial. जब तक आप impartial नहीं होंगे तब तक आप एक सही critic नहीं हैं. You have to be absolutely objective. You have to be disinterested. You have to be disinterested. So impartial होना है, objective होना है, disinterested होना है. That is the singular quality. So Matthew Arnold, in the function of criticism at the present time, what are you able to see? You are able to see that he's trying to say that criticism is a disinterested endeavor to learn and propagate the best that is known and thought in the world, and thus to establish a current of fresh and true ideas altogether, right? So disinterest आपको ये चीज याद रखनी है, alright? And otherwise क्या क्या prejudices आ जाते हैं? Historical and personal. क्या क्या prejudices आपके आ जाते हैं? You are able to see that there are prejudices which are both historical as well as personal, right? The prejudices are both historical as well as personal. So this is something that you'll have to keep in mind. How does T.S. Eliot sum up the peculiar quality of Marvel's Horatian Ode? Marvel's Horatian Ode. How does he sum up the peculiar quality of Marvel's Horatian Ode? कैसे वो sum up कर देते हैं? How is he summing up? How is he summing up Marvel's Horatian Ode? Very important, very important. Horatian Ode जो आपका आ रहा है by Andrew Marvell. Remember, Andrew Marvell is the one who actually protected John Milton when after restoration Charles actually wanted to kill him. तो इन्होंने इसको protect किया था. What is the correct answer over here? थोड़ा सा ध्यान दीजिए इन questions पे. Mm-mm. I'm getting a lot of you saying 3 and 4. अभी तक हमें सही जवाब वैसे मिला नहीं है. अभी तक सही जवाब वैसे हमें मिला नहीं है. Okay. All right. Let's take a stab at this. Okay. How does T.S. Eliot sum up the peculiar quality of Marvel's Horatio? Telescoping of images in multiplied association, a tough reasonableness beneath a slight lyric grace. ठीक है, a tough reason, contrast of ideas different in degree but the same in principle, ये नहीं है, ये लग रहा है क्योंकि metaphysical poetry है, but that's not the truth, right? That's not the truth altogether. ये चीज आपको याद रखना है, heterogeneity of materials, that's not there. So यहाँ पर प्लीज याद रखिएगा, in his essay एंड्रयू मार्वल, टी.एस. एलियट क्या कह रहे हैं, the wit of the Caroline poets, right? So Caroline age में 17th century poetry important है. देखिए एक ही साल के पेपर में आपको दो क्वेश्चन 17th सेंचुरी पोएट्री में से आए. कैरोलिन पोएट्स आर इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट. Is not the wit of Shakespeare and it's not the wit of Dryden or the great master of contempt of Poe, the great master of hatred or Swift. तो ये भी क्वेश्चंस आपके आ सकते हैं. इस तरह से आपके प्रीवियस ईयर इंपॉर्टेंट है कि किसको टीएस एलियट कहते हैं, ग्रेट मास्टर ऑफ कंटेम्प्ट पोप को. ग्रेट मास्टर ऑफ हेट्रेड किसको कहते हैं, आपके स्विफ्ट को. द ग्रेट मास्टर ऑफ डिसगस्ट आल्सो इन अ पर्टिकुलर वे दैट यू आर एबल टू सी. What is meant is some quality which is common to the songs in Camus and Cowley's Anachronotics and Marvel's Variation Ode. अब यहाँ पर आ जाता है जो आपका था reasonableness beneath the slight lyric grace. Reasonableness beneath the slight lyric grace. इसको दोबारा से सोल्यूशन को एक बार कर लीजिएगा. सबसे पहले तो आपको पता भी होना चाहिए कि टीएस एलियट एंड्रयू मार्वल के ऊपर भी लिख रहे हैं. टीएस एलियट एंड्रयू मार्वल के ऊपर भी लिख रहे हैं. पॉइंट नंबर 1 आपको ये याद रखना है. एंड सेकंड व्हाट यू आर एबल टू सी, ये कमेंट आपका आ रहा है, यू कैन नॉट फाइंड इट इन शेली और कीट्स और वर्ड्सवर्थ, यू कैन नॉट फाइंड मोर देन एन echo of its lander, still less in Tennyson or Browning. Among contemporaries, Mr. Yeats is the Irishman, Mr. Hardy is the modern Englishman, right? तो इस तरह से आपको थोड़ा सा ये चीज ध्यान में रखनी पड़ेगी. So please remember that, okay? Moving on to the next question. What becomes the right answer over here? Let's just see how many of you have got it right. Let's just see how many of you got it right. तो ये सारी के सारी अच्छी तरीके से previous year's questions को cover करना is also equally important. It becomes extremely important that you're covering it up. Okay. Good. Simar Taran has got the right answer. In his recasting the canon of English poetry, new bearings in English poetry, which of the following pairs was downgraded by F.R. Levi's? F.R. Levi's moral criticism से भी associated हैं. कौन से पेयर को यू आर एबल टू सी दैट ही इज ट्राइंग टू डाउनग्रेड. ही इज ट्राइंग टू डाउनग्रेड. मिल्टन एंड शेली इज एब्सोल्युटली द करेक्ट आंसर. मिल्टन एंड शेली को ये डाउनग्रेड कर रहे हैं. मिल्टन एंड शेली को डाउनग्रेड कर रहे हैं. सो प्लीज रिमेंबर एफ.आर. लीवाइस इज अटैकिंग द पोएट्री and he is of course proclaiming the importance of works that are coming in, but please remember he is downgrading. He is saying P.B. Shelley और John Milton को जो importance दी जाती है, that importance is actually not justified. That importance is not justified. So new bearings in English poetry के अंदर F.R. Levi's जो moral criticism से associated है, मैंने Telegram platform पे जो आपको सारा अपस्टोन का PDF भी भेजा है, उसमें मॉरल क्रिटिसिज्म के अंदर आपका एफ.आर. लीवाइस ठीक तरह से कवर किया जाता है. तो एक बार उसको भी आप देख लीजिएगा. प्लीज रिमेंबर दैट. वर्ड्स विद द सेम प्रोनाउंसिएशन एंड डिफरेंट मीनिंग्स आर. वर्ड्स विद द सेम प्रोनाउंसिएशन विद डिफरेंट मीनिंग्स. प्रोनाउंसिएशन उनकी सेम होती है, but you are able to see that they aren't the same. What are they called? उनका sound pattern. So what are you able to see? Sound के लिए हम क्या use करते हैं? Phonetics आपका जो आते हैं, right? And same के लिए क्या use हो रहा है? So what is the correct answer? रवि पांडे, अनुष्का, very good. ये सही था आपका, जल्दी आ गया है. Homophones is the right answer altogether. The homophones are pronounced in the same way, but they have different meanings, right? They are pronounced in the same way, but they have different meanings. Okay, question number 17. According to Ferdinand de Saussure, language is, what is language doing? According to Ferdinand de Saussure, what is language doing? What is language doing? सूरज वर्मा हैज गॉट द राइट आंसर. आई डोंट नो कि दूसरे पहले वाले क्वेश्चन के लिए आपने सही जवाब दिया है या नहीं. पहले वाले क्वेश्चन के लिए आपने सही जवाब दिया है. लैंग्वेज इज एन इंटरलॉकिंग स्ट्रक्चर, राइट? लैंग्वेज इज अ सॉर्ट ऑफ योर इंटरलॉकिंग स्ट्रक्चर दैट यू आर एबल टू सी. तो जहां पर ए नहीं है, यू कैन एक्चुअली यूज द एलिमिनेशन मेथड. यू कैन यूज द एलिमिनेशन मेथड जहां पर आपका ए नहीं आ रहा है. अ सिस्टम ऑफ कांस्टेंट चेंज, दैट्स नॉट देयर. अ सिस्टम ऑफ साइंस, याद है कल भी हम लोगों ने क्वेश्चन किया था मास्टर क्लास के ऊपर. So So what are you able to see? According to Ferdinand de Saussure, language is interlocking structure, point number one, and it is a system of science. And it is a system of science. Okay? It is not constantly changing. Rather, ये जो science है, they have been eternally defined, and थोड़े से changes इनके अंदर eventually आते हैं. Okay, so please remember that. So Saussure contended that language must be considered as a social phenomena, a structured system that can be viewed synchronically and diachronically. Synchronically at a particular time, diachronically over a period of time. Dude, over a period of time. Okay, and Tabi, he was trying to talk about language. He's also drawing on the distinction between language and the activity of speaking, that is lang, and parole. Lang is a system, parole is the utterance that you're able to see. Moving on to the 18th question that is coming your way. Jaldi se bataiye what becomes the right answer over here. Good evening, Rani. Good evening. Good evening. यहाँ पर क्या सही जवाब है? The set of inflected forms taken by a single word. Single word. Inflected forms taken by a single word. Inflected forms taken by a single word. नो नो इन्फ्लेक्टेड फॉर्म्स है. ध्यान से क्वेश्चन को पढ़िए. इन्फ्लेक्टेड फॉर्म्स है. So that is what? That is lexeme. ये गलत नहीं करना है, morpheme नहीं है. That is lexeme. ठीक है? That is lexeme. ये please गलत मत कीजिएगा. Lexeme. Alphanumeric characters that you are able to see. ठीक है? तो lexeme, the building block of language overall, that is what you are able to see. Which pair of linguistics in the following list is associated with speech acts? Is associated with speech acts. Which is associated with speech acts. Speech acts से क्या associated है? कौन से pair of linguists are actually associated with speech acts? Speech acts से कौन associated है? Speech act theory से कौन associated है? Who's associated with speech acts? So Austin and Cyril. Austin and Cyril. Very good, Ravi. Ravi has got it right. Ravi Pandey got it right. Speech act theory जो आपका आ रहा है, Austin and Cyril. So Austin and Cyril are the one who are actually associated with that. Okay, so speech act theory भी याद रखिएगा. Usage. You have hissed the mystery lecture is an example of hissed the history lecture. You have hissed the mystery lecture. What is this an example of? What is this an example of? और अभी हम लोग हाल ही में फाउंडेशन बैच में आई थिंक कल ही हम लोग कवर कर रहे थे. रिमेंबर 6:45 पे we were talking about Mrs. Malaprop का character. We were discussing that. What becomes the correct answer over here? यहाँ पर क्या सही जवाब है? Yes, Rashmi Rawat has got the right answer. Rashmi Rawat is absolutely right. Spoonerism is the correct answer. Spoonerism becomes the correct answer over here. So spoonerism is the mistake that you're making where आपका जो first two sounds है they are actually changed altogether. ठीक है? That is spoonerism. Who wrote the short story The Voter? This is a very simple question. ये Voter जो short story है, who's the writer who's written this short story The Voter? Very important work coming from a person who's received the Man Booker Prize International, a work, a writer जिनको बोला जाता है कि you're able to find the characters who you will be able to see on the African streets, particularly Nigerian streets. Whom are we talking about? No, it's not Shoinka. Very good. Rashmi has got it right. It's Chinua Achebe. Voter is a short story by Chinua Achebe. मैं आपको ये बार-बार मास्टर क्लास में भी बता रही हूँ कि lesser known writers जैसे वर्जीनिया वुल्फ का क्यू गार्डन्स हो गया, मतलब lesser known writers in sense जो novelist की तरह जाने जाते हैं उनकी भी short stories आपको पता होनी चाहिए. So Chinua Achebe is writing The Voter, right? It's taken from the collection Girls at War and Other Stories altogether. ठीक है? And it's showing how Igbo people they are falling prey to the snares of the Western systems overall, right? So ये चीज आप अच्छी तरह से देख पाते हो. And Rufus Soki, the protagonist, is a very popular person in the village of Mofia, but he chooses to stay back in his village instead of going, and leading a life because he wants to stay with his own people. ठीक है? तो ये आपको ध्यान रखना है. No worries, Shabnam. Which character in Hamlet utters the line "Something is rotten in the state of Denmark"? Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. कौन बोलता है? Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. कौन बोल रहा है? No worries, Shabnam. That's okay. Something is rotten with the state of Denmark. Very good. Wilfran has got it right. Ravi Pandey has got it right. Excellent. That's right. Marsilius is the correct answer. Marsilius ये Act 1 Scene 4 के अंदर बोल रहे हैं, right? And he and Horatio, they're debating whether or not to follow Hamlet and the ghost into the dark night. So Marsilius is the one. And again, it's telling you about the idea that ghost is omnius omen for Denmark, and the larger connection that you're able to see. Who wrote the essay My First Acquaintance with Poets? My First Acquaintance with Poets किसने लिखा है? Who's the writer of My First Acquaintance with Poets? My First Acquaintance with Poets. ये किसने लिखा था? My First Acquaintance with Poets. My First Acquaintance with Poets. My First Acquaintance with Poets. ये किसने लिखा है? Who's the writer who's writing this? ये हम लोगों ने कल ही किया. Hazlitt is the right answer. Very good, Ravi. Ravi, I think is answering very well. Very nice, Ravi. Good to see. Mostly सारे के सारे answers are good. So a huge shout out to Ravi over here that we are able to see. Hazlitt is absolutely the right answer. So William Hazlitt is writing My First Acquaintance with Poets. My First Acquaintance with Poets. It was published in 1823 altogether, right? तो ये आपको थोड़ा सा ध्यान में रखना पड़ेगा. This is an important work. Who wrote the postmodern reworking of Charles Dickens' Great Expectations without altering the original title? ठीक है, सो आपको ये याद रखना है. जैक मैक्स बाय पीटर कैरी, दैट इज, तो पीटर कैरी को आप, पीटर कैरी जो जैक मैक्स लिख रहे हैं, दैट इज ऑल्टरिंग. जैक मैक्स इज ऑल्टरिंग, तो ये आपका एलिमिनेट हो जाना चाहिए. पीटर कैरी मत कीजिएगा, बिकॉज जैक मैक्स इज एक्चुअली ऑल्टरिंग द टाइटल, right? So that is also extremely important, that you shouldn't be altering the title. So who is it that we are talking about? Who is it that we are talking about? It's not Shirley Jackson. It's not Shirley Jackson. Who is this that we are talking about? No, it's not Shirley Jackson. Shilpa Kumari has got the right answer. Kathy Archer is absolutely the correct answer. Kathy Archer is absolutely the correct answer. So Peter Carey is writing a reworking of Great Expectations, 200% correct. लेकिन वो title को change कर रहे हैं. That's Jack Manx. तो आधे से ज्यादा बच्चों का ये वाला क्वेश्चन उस साल में गलत हो गया था. Kathy Archer, who was the American experimental writer, she is receiving critical attention because of Great Expectations that you're able to see, right? The opening of Great Expectations is rewriting, or is like an obvious rewriting that you're able to look at. Who in the world as India argues that English can be the only common unifying language of India? कौन ये बोलता है कि English can only be the unifying language? अगर इंडिया में एक unifying language चाहिए तो वो English ही होना चाहिए. No worries, Sonali. Please do revise all the other questions all together that are coming in. Whom are we talking about over here? Susan Sontag is the right answer, right? Susan Sontag, Rashmi Rawat has got it right. Susan Sontag is absolutely the correct answer. The American intellectual that we are able to see the world as India, as a lecture that she delivered on literary translations. And यहाँ पर she says English has become a common language that is trying to unify various disparate regions altogether in India. So according to Susan Sontag, the English can only be the unifier. In which book of Paradise Lost does Milton refer to Agra and Lahore of the Great Mughal? Agra and Lahore of the Great Mughal. Agra and Lahore of the Great Mughal. आगरा एंड लाहौर ऑफ द ग्रेट मुगल. कौन से बुक में ये आगरा एंड लाहौर ऑफ द ग्रेट मुगल को रेफर कर रहे हैं? आगरा एंड लाहौर ऑफ द ग्रेट मुगल. Right. D is absolutely the right answer. Book 11 is the correct answer. Okay, book 11 is the correct answer. Agra and Lahore of the Great Mughal. Agra and Lahore of the Great Mughal. So Milton is referring to, Agra and Lahore of the Great Mughal to show him all earth's kingdoms and their glory, city of old and modern fame to Agra and Lahore of the Great Mughal, right? So ये यहाँ पर आ रहा है. Which of the following narrative cycles is referred to in Michel Foucault's What is an Author? Michel Foucault's What is an Author? Michel Foucault's What is an Author? What is the correct answer over here? What is the correct answer? Michel Foucault's What is an Author? ये response है to Rolla Barthes, The Death of the Author. So what is an author? Yes, what is, yes, Monica's got, Monica नहीं 27 आपने लिख रहे हैं. What, yeah, at 20? How are you writing this? Anyway, okay, which of the following narrative cycles is mentioned? 1001 Nights has been mentioned over here. So, what is an author? ये lecture है, which was given on 22nd February 1969. ये, it's responding to Barthes' The Death of the Author altogether, and he points out to Greek epic where the hero can die young because his epics are, celebrating immortality. एंड नॉन वेस्टर्न टेक्स्ट जैसे अरेबियन नाइट्स में जैसे जहाँ पर आपको शेजराड इज टेलिंग द स्टोरी टू मेक श्योर दैट ही इज शेजराड इज अलाइव ऑल टुगेदर सो एक तरफ इमोर्टैलिटी है दूसरे टाइम पे है दैट हाउ यू कैन सेव योर लाइफ एंड दिस इज द रियलिटी व्हाई यू ऑल अर्निंग मनी यू आर आल्सो अर्निंग मनी जो मेडिकल एक्सपेंडिचर्स होते हैं इवन फॉर वन डे व्हेन यू पुटिंग पीपल ऑन वेंटिलेटर व्हाट आर यू एसेंशियली डूइंग यू आर ट्राइंग टू make sure that the person can live for one more day extra, right? So there are two different cultures, one paying premium on immortality and the other trying to make sure that आप एक तरह से डेथ को इवेट कर रहे हैं. Who is the author of the typology of detective fiction? The typology of detective fiction. Who is the author of typology of detective fiction? Typology of detective fiction के author कौन है? Typology of detective fiction के author कौन है? टाइपोलॉजी ऑफ डिटेक्टिव फिक्शन. नैरेटोलॉजी पीटर बेरी के बुक से भी अगर आप पढ़ लेंगे तो इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस आप इजीली आंसर कर पाएंगे. सो नैरेटोलॉजी के ऊपर पीटर बेरी की क्रिटिकल थ्योरी पे भी आपका क्वेश्चन है. नो, इट इज नॉट उमर्टो इको, इट इज नॉट जेके चेस्टरटन, इट इज तोदरोव. ठीक है, इट इज तोदरोव. ये सारा स्टोन के अंदर भी आपको नैरेटोलॉजी के अंदर मिल जाएगा. तो या तो आप सारा स्टोन को एक बार देख लीजिएगा नैरेटोलॉजी का यूनिट, या फिर आप प्लीज एक बार पीटर बेरी में से भी आप अपना नैरेटोलॉजी का यूनिट पढ़ सकते हैं. सो तोदरोव इज द राइट आंसर ओवर हियर. ठीक है, सो तोदरोव बिकम्स द राइट आंसर. द टाइपोलॉजी ऑफ डिटेक्टिव फिक्शन, ये इनका ऐसे आ रहा है. Okay, who among the following says ideology is a representation of the imaginary relationship of individuals to their real conditions of existence? To their real conditions of existence. कौन ये बोलता है? कौन ये बोलता है? Who is telling you? Who is telling you? कौन ये बोलता है? This is This is Althusser. Very good, Rashmi. Very good. Rashmi got it right. Rashmi has got it right. Absolutely correct, Rashmi. This is Louis Althusser. Okay, this is Louis Althusser that we are talking about. This is Louis Althusser. That is the correct answer. Louis Althusser French hai, and he's trying to fuse Marxism as well as structuralism, ideology and ideological state apparatuses is the one that he's coming up with. So please remember that. Now, next question is your homework question. ये हम लोग कल डिस्कस भी करेंगे. दिस इज योर होमवर्क क्वेश्चन. प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट यू आर पुटिंग द आंसर्स इन द कमेंट सेक्शन. ठीक है, दिस इज योर होमवर्क क्वेश्चन फॉर टुडे. टुमारो, लाइक आई सेड, यू आर हैविंग योर संडेज मैराथन, राइट? आपका संडे का मैराथन है एट 12 o'clock, वेयर वी आर गोइंग टू बी प्रॉपरली, अच्छी तरह से एग्जॉस्टिवली आपके क्वेश्चन पेपर को प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. सो प्लीज बी प्रिपेयर फॉर दैट. प्रॉपरली इसके लिए अच्छी तरीके से प्रिपेयर होकर आइएगा. And in case if you're having any other questions, doubts, problems, please feel free to let me know about those. Fine. चलिए, great. इसी के साथ आज के सेशन को यहीं पे एंड करते हैं. Please review, please revise all the things that we've been talking about. And in case if there are any other concerns, please feel free to let us know. कल आपकी 12 बजे क्लास है. I will also be telling you the schedule as well for the next upcoming week. Fine. Thanks, Rashmi. Thanks, Anushika. चलिए, take good care of yourselves, everyone. Wilfran, thank you, बच्चे. Thank you, Shabnam. Thanks, everyone. Take good care. Bye. I'll catch up with all of you.